Hola, Taboo Breakers. Bienvenidos a Taboo Talk Latina Edition. Yo soy Cynthia.
And I'm Jeanette. And here at Taboo Talks, we keep it real, raw, and rooted in our cultura. This is the space where we shed the silence, speak the truth our abuelas were told to hide, and celebrate the stories that make us powerful mujeres.
From breaking generational cycles to reclaiming our narratives and honoring our roots, we talk about lo que nadie quiere decir while holding space for healing, visibility, and bold growth.
Today's guest is a dream come true. She's someone we've had on our vision board, someone who represents everything this platform is about: truth, talent, legacy, and cultura.
We are beyond honored to welcome a powerhouse Mexican actress, singer, and director making history and making space on the world's biggest stages. Born in Mexico City, Florencia grew up immersed in the arts. Her father was part of the iconic duo Los Polivoces, and she's been writing her own story ever since.
From Broadway and Spanglish to songs by an immigrant, she has been using her voice to tell the stories that too often go untold. And in 2025, she became the first Mexican immigrant to originate a co-leading role on Broadway, starting as Estela Garcia in Real Women Have Curves, the musical, a role rooted in family, sacrifice, and mujer power.
Florencia, welcome to Taboo Talk Latina Edition. We are so honored to have you today. We have manifested this interview for way too long. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for your
Hola,
yes.
chicas. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here and happy to chat and chismear.
Muchas gracias, de verdad. Thank you for being here. Such an honor. And before we jump into the segments, we'd love to hold space for you to share. For those who may not know your full journey, tell us about your story. Who is Florencia behind the spotlight? And what has that path looked like leading up to this moment?
Well, as you said, I grew up, I was raised also in Mexico City, born and raised. And I decided to move to the States 10 years ago to New York with my husband. We were recently married. We actually came here for our honeymoon. And once we were here, we were like, should we stay? And because it has always been my dream to be here and study musical theater and be on Broadway. But I was like, no, it's like a crazy idea. It's too much to do. But he convinced me. He's a dreamer. I'm a dreamer too, but sometimes I'm more rooted, you know. But we decided to stay 10 years ago, and it's been a crazy journey of so many ups and so many downs, to be honest. When I was in Mexico, I was Mexican, and almost everybody was Mexican. When I moved to the States, to New York, I was like, oh my God. I became an immigrant, that it's like a label that they put on you. And I was like, okay, so what does that means? How that changed my journey, my art, my purpose in life. And I was so blessed to found my purpose here. I was like, okay, maybe me being here, me being a creative person, an artist, it's because I need to represent my culture. I want to put a spotlight in my culture and do it in authentic and respectful way. Because at the beginning, when I started auditioning for things here, I was like, sometimes the roles I was auditioning for, they were written by white people, or they were written in a very disrespectful way or from ignorance. And I was like, well, no, we're not like that. Or like, you know, like when they think that we all Latinos are the same and they don't know the difference between Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican. They are just, just say huepa and it's okay. And I'm like, I don't think so.
That's so true.
Yeah, that is so. Everyone has their own slang, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I started to go to auditions and look at that, I was like, okay, I think I found my purpose, and that is just to represent my culture and my people here in the arts.
Wow, that's beautiful. And why New York?
Well, first of all, I think it was because of the movies, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dream.
Yes, las pinches movies. They are so beautiful and everything looks perfect. And I feel like every time I would watch a movie that it was set on New York, I would be like, okay, so that's Brooklyn and that's Midtown. And I would like memorize everything. And the first time that I came here, I was like old. I was like 21. Old, like, like I wasn't
Of
like a
course.
teenager.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I've seen this. Like, I feel like I've been here, but it's because of the movies that
The
you see all
movies,
the
it takes us.
time. Yes. And also because of Broadway, to be honest, one of my biggest dreams since I was like 10, 12, it was to be on Broadway. But for example, my mom, she became a widow when I was 9 years old. And I couldn't like ask her to pay for some to school here in New York. It was impossible,
Right.
So in a way, at the beginning of my life, like I made peace with not coming to New York. I was like, okay, maybe that's not for me. Maybe my path is to stay in Mexico and work in theater and television, and that will be it. But then I met my husband, who's a dreamer, and he's also in the musical theater business. He's a producer, arranger, composer. And he was like, no, you're so young. We can try it. Let's just do it. And we did it.
Wow. And I'm glad you follow that path, because you could have easily said no. I'd rather stay home. Y conociendo el amor, ¿verdad? He'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll stay home. But you guys had that purpose together. And that's beautiful. That you didn't let any label also define you and where you were heading.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You needed a
totally.
dreamer.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's why it's so important to see with which kind of people you're hanging, right? Like
100%.
your community and your circles that
It
tell
makes a
about.
difference.
Yeah. And Florencia, you made history with your role in Real Women's Have Curves as the first Mexican immigrant to originate a co-leading role on the Broadway. What did that moment mean to you personally and culturally?
I think when I first found out, I was in shock because I was like, wait, I'm the first one? Like, what are you talking about? We're in
Wow.
2025 and I'm the first one. And so it was like a bittersweet moment of like, oh, I am sad. I am mad that this is happening in
Yeah,
2025. What the
that's
hell?
true.
And in another way, of course, very happy, very blessed. And also it's a big responsibility, to be the first one to do this. I, ahora sí que, como dice Bad Bunny, de los de atrás vienen conmigo, right? Like, I
Yes.
feel like
Yes.
once you open the door, it's not about you, really. It's just about, like, what it represents for every single one of us, like to open a door so everyone can come into it.
Oh, that's
Beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah, and the most impactful part is that instead of you reacting to it as like, yes, you're happy, of course, you're like, this is sad that in 2025 I have to hear this, right? That there needs to be a change and we need to be louder about it. So I pat you in the back for that because I know it's hard, especially when I feel que nosotros, all the generational cycles and traumas and, we have to break free
Yes.
from that. So that speaks really
Yes.
highly. And what was your first reaction when you got the role of Estela? Did you feel an instant connection to her story?
Well, I felt, and let me tell you, it was the first time that I read Real Women Have Curves. It was when I first moved to the New York. It was my first time here. I went to the drama bookshop, and my husband, he grabbed that book, and he said, "This is a very important piece for Latine people here. So you need, like, if we are moving here, you need to learn about how it is to be Latino in United States, right? Because I know how it is to Mexican and Latina in Mexico, but it's not the same to being an immigrant, to being in the States, like the things that you go through.
Yeah.
And I read the play and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love it. I love that it was like representation of Mexicans. And then se me olvidó, pasó. And then like 5 years later, I read on Playbill, Real Women Have Curves is being adapted to a musical. And I was like, wait, what?
Oh my
And since
God.
that moment, I took a screenshot and I put it on my vision board because I'm a vision board girly and affirmation
Yeah.
girly, manifesting girly.
Yes.
And I added it to my vision board. And then when they released like the roles for the musical, I read the role of Estela and I was like, that's me. I was born to play Estela. Please cast me.
I have
So from
goosebumps.
the
I know.
very first time that I read that, I was like, I'm Estela. I swear. I think that's the first time that has ever happened to me in terms of a musical or of a role that I'm reading for auditions that I was like, I swear I'm the perfect person. Diosito, please, please,
Esto es
And I,
mío.
yes,
Elígeme a mí.
for the very first reading, I sent my audition and I was like, hey, I want to play Estela, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, we already have an Estela. Thank you. You can come and be an ensemble in the reading. And I was like, bueno, okay, I'll do
Wow.
it because I wanted to listen to the musical and I wanted to be involved. Pero lo que es para ti es para ti. So
Yeah.
I did that. And then the next year they held auditions again for the same project. And I was like, this is my time. Like this, I swear I need to convince them because I already know. I know that I'm Estela. Now they need to know. So I auditioned again with a different casting director, Victor Vasquez, who is Mexican American casting director. And that's why it's so important to have people who knows the story, who
Yeah.
knows who knows the
Culture.
culture.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it was a change when Victor started casting the show with ARC casting too in New York. I was like, okay, they know who are they looking for. And I got it, and I started like
Beautiful.
developing Estela in the workshops and in the tryout that we had at ART in Harvard. So I feel like we were meant to find each other, Estela and I.
That's
Wow. And the power that you just show up from the first day, sabiendo que it was not going to be your time yet, but within you, you're like, esto es mío. And a lot of people just back away, right? They're like, you know what? It's fine. It's not meant for me. No, it's what you
Yeah,
take with it. And that's what you
yeah,
have to do. Just show up. Maybe not this year, but next year, I'm going to do it again because that's mine.
yeah,
Yeah, and you
yeah,
So beautiful.
manifested this. Like you were
yeah.
like, I took a screenshot, I put it on my vision board. We're manifesting girlies too. So I love it. Yes. And we know Estela is a hardworking eldest daughter in a Latina family business. Like you mentioned, how did your journey as an immigrant shape the way you brought her to life?
Oh my God, I think we are so similar and different in a couple of things, but we are very. I am the eldest daughter too, so I know how it works. I know the dynamic, when we would like start reading the musical, I was like, oh, yes, I've been there. Like you're always like between the mom and the youngest sibling trying to mediar las cosas. Estela, she's undocumented and she has big dreams, and because of her legal status, she thinks she cannot pursue those dreams. And I feel like so many people in this country are under that umbrella, myself included. The first years that I was here, I wasn't able to work because with the visa that I have, it was just like a visa to be a wife, right? So it was very difficult for me because I was like, I want to do so many things. I want to like pursue my acting career, and I wasn't able to do that because my legal status too.
Yeah.
So one thing I love about Estela is that even with all those difficult things that she has in her life, she doesn't give up and she still shows up and she's up to any challenge that comes her way. And I think I learned that about her by just like working in this musical for the past 3 years. I feel like she taught me how to step into my power and not be scared of big challenges and just say like, okay, yes, I can do it. I will figure it out. And I think that's also a very immigrant and Latina mindset because of como somos, right? Sometimes the
Yeah.
challenges come and we're like, I'll figure it out. And I think our community also siempre,
Yeah.
and that's how we can salir adelante.
Oh, 100%. And you didn't just play a role. You helped shape a character that means so much to la comunidad. So what was that like knowing that so many Latinas were seeing themselves in Estela as well? Because I'm sure you've gotten feedback on it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite parts of doing this. Like, for example, go to the stage door and get to meet all these Latina girlies, curvy girlies, brown girlies who are like, oh my God, for the very first time, I'm seeing someone like myself on a stage, or like, hey, I'm the eldest daughter, or hey, I'm undocumented and I've been through that, like all these experiences that have never been on Broadway. It's so special to be able to bring some representation to mi gente. And even like, for example, I always say like, yes, it's important for the younger generation to see someone like themselves so they can pursue that dream. But I found out that it's also very important for the older generation, because
Yeah.
you're healing that generation too. And the older generation, like for example, I remember I met like a 68-year-old Mexican woman, and she came and she said like, in my 60-year life, I have never seen someone like myself on a stage, and this is the first time that I'm
Wow.
seeing someone like myself on stage. So that's important too. It's both ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's breaking those cycles, right? Like we said, for the young generation, which that's our main goal, but also like you said, the older generation that I feel they still haven't healed, they still haven't been heard, that they're still carrying a lot of baggage and what ifs que nunca pudieron lograr. So they're looking at
Yeah.
us, right? Witnessing everything that they wish they had then. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful to hear and to see you thrive in.
Yeah. And the musical is so, in a strange way, very parallel to your life, right? Because you have the eldest daughter kind of like undecisive whether she goes for her dream or does she stay back in the family business. And I think I heard you say at the beginning where you weren't sure, like, do I tell my mom, hey, I want to move to New York? So can
Yes.
you tell us about a little bit about your mom's reaction?
Well, in my case, because my mom was a widow and we were like, my sister, who is like younger than me, my mom and my abuela, we were como que las cuatro super unidas all the time. And it was like the four of us against the world. But she always said like, hey, you have to dream, you have to fly, you have to do what you have to do. But it was
Beautiful.
lo que yo pensaba, it wasn't like coming from her. It was like my own sense of responsibility. And you know that sometimes the eldest daughter thinks that we are the parents. And because I
Yeah.
lost my dad so young, I was like, okay, I'm like the dad in some stupid way, like I am now the parent is my mom and I'm the other parent. And that's why I didn't want to leave my mom with my sister and in Mexico, And when I moved here, when I decided, my mom was like, yeah, that's your dream. You need to follow it. You have to like fly. And it was so special that now, 10 years later, when I made my Broadway debut, she was able to come with mi abuela. So it was like a full circle
Yeah,
moment
I love
to have
that.
them here and seeing that every sacrifice, every
Yeah.
veladora que han prendido para mí, every prayer, it's like, finally, it's happening.
And that they get to witness that. And I'm sure they're so proud of you. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I feel that we all carry it. And as me, as the oldest daughter, I feel like, and I always joke about it, I'm like, I feel I have two boys. So I'm always like, oh, I feel like I have a third kid and it's my mom, and I laugh about it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like I'm always on her. Do you drink your vitamins? What does she need? I'm paying for the stuff she needs, and she's a great support to us as well. But I always feel that I carry no matter what I do, even if I want to relocate, I always have to consider, yeah, but I have my mom here, even if we don't live together. So I think as Latinos, we do carry that with us no matter what we do.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're being loud about it because I still carry that and we all do no matter what age we're in.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. And I'm pretty sure they healed in their own way when they came to see you. They were
Oh yeah.
probably
Yeah.
like, wow, my daughter's on stage, right? That dream that she always had, and here she is. That's beautiful that they were able to witness that. And grandma too. That's amazing.
Yes, that's amazing. She never travels anymore. She's
Wow.
86. So she's like, I'm done with that, like she likes to be en su pueblito con su gente. But she was like, no, I cannot miss this. Like, she's from Chihuahua, a very small town. She has worked so hard all her life. She has dedicated to help women. So she's been a giver all her life. And now that I was like, okay, Grandma, this is for you. Like, I am here because of all the work you have done. She felt so proud.
I can imagine. That was such a beautiful moment, having all of you there together. And I know it could be so hard also as an artist, a mother, a partner, an immigrant, right? So how do you balance all of those roles? And how do they shape the way you show up in your work?
I think I don't balance it. That's the truth. I
Raw and
wish I
real.
could say like,
Yes.
yeah. But no, sometimes the artist is on 60 and the wife is on 10 and the mom is on 20. You know, it's life. I wish I could balance it. I feel because also I am out and I don't have many privileges that some people have. I don't have them. Like, I cannot afford a nanny. That's the truth. Like, and sometimes my kid is with me on rehearsals or with my husband in a studio, or we're just like trying to juggle it all. Everything comes out of love, of course, and because of the love I have for my family and for my career. But I guess sometimes it's hard. It's I wish I can excel in all of those. But the truth is that no. Sometimes I'm like, I am sorry, Alonso, I cannot be here because you're sick. I need to go. Thank goodness I have an amazing husband and an amazing partner who can take care of you. And my heart is like aching when I am doing a show and I know that my baby is here with fever, you know, but it's just live. And I feel like sometimes I would talk to my friends or to my other like Latina friends and they are like, oh, well, how can you do your career and be a mother? And I'm like, we just have to figure it out. And so many people have done it in the past, no?
Yeah.
And I
And
feel
I,
like
that's
we are chingonas and we always like make it work. Of course, it would be amazing to have more help, right? From either the government or our jobs to help us with that, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, and that's what makes us raw and real, you know, because we can all relate no matter. And I feel like even with all the help you can get, we still have that guilt as women that we always feel that even if they're under care, like the husband or a nanny, whatever your circumstances might be, we still feel like I should be there. Or if we're performing or doing or whatever we're meant to be doing or our jobs, we still feel like we're not being enough, right? Because we should be doing something else. So I think we carry that with us. And thank you for the reminder that we're not alone in that because we've all been there. And I've been there recently. So
Yes.
it reminds us that we're not alone.
Motherhood
Yeah.
is messy. It's a beautiful mess. I always like to say that.
And it takes a village. Like, I
Yes.
couldn't have
Yes.
been on Broadway without my village. My friends, especially as an immigrant, I don't have family here. So my friends are my family. So sometimes I'm like, hey, girl, can you take care of Alonso for 2 hours? I have an audition. And my best friend comes. And, you know, like, that's how we do it. The power of our community. I think that's the power of our community. And that's why I love to be Mexican and love to be Latina because we are always there for each other.
That's the beauty.
Yeah. What are some of the emotional layers of being both an immigrant and an artist, especially in a place like New York, right? Where so much is constantly shifting.
I feel like it's very intricate, at least for me and in my work. Like everything that I do, it's related to my immigrant experience. It's related to be Latina. It's related to be Mexican. Just to exist in my body, it's a political act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So every time that I step into a new room, I do a new project, I am carrying all those identities with me. So I feel like it's just one. Being immigrant, being artist, it's just one thing, and I carry that everywhere I go and in everything I do.
Beautiful. And I have a question because I love music, right? But I've never been into the musical Broadway modern theater aspect of it. How do you adapt to the changes in the world when it comes to that? Or have you seen like changes like from when you started to now? Or do you see that it hasn't really changed and it's just been something steady that's been for years?
Well, sadly, for example, if we are talking about the Broadway side of it all, like it has, well, thanks to Buena Vista and Real Women Have Curves, we had two Latino shows on Broadway this season. But before that, it was like a period of 10 years that we didn't have any kind of Latina story on
Wow.
Broadway or
Wow.
with Latina music. That sucks.
Of
Yeah.
course, I figured. Wow.
So I feel like Quito, I don't think that much in terms of musical theater and
Yeah.
Broadway and representation and diversity. I feel like sometimes in the TV industry or the movie industry, we are like, or music industry, like Bad Bunny, Karol G, Becky G,
Yeah.
like Peso Pluma, all these great artists who are like top of the top in the world. Like for me, it doesn't make sense that that is happening on music and on musical theater. We're still here. Like it's
Still here.
yeah, but I guess for me, what it has to do with it, it's also the audience as Latinos, or, and I am talking for me growing up in Mexico from a family that was in the arts. Like we didn't have this costumbre of going to the theater. That's something that it's not
Yeah.
in our culture. Like sometimes, like Jewish people, that's so part of their culture, like going to the theater. And for us, it has never been like a, oh, sí, vamos al teatro, you know?
You're
Yeah.
right.
So I feel like the way we can change this is with us, like the millennials. How can we shape a new audience for theater? And I think it will only happen by doing new works like Real Women Have Curves. I noticed that a lot of young Latinas and Latine came to the theater for the very first time in their 30s, you know, and late 20s. And I'm like, wow, they have never been to the theater. But because we don't see someone like ourselves, so we're like, why do we want to go and see another white story? Like, I can do that
Yeah, and it's so true.
everywhere, you know?
And that's why I asked, because I feel like in the Hispanic roots, it's not algo que acostumbramos, like you said. Let's go to the theater today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
still have yet to go to one in person, but I've heard amazing. Because here in Miami, they do a lot of them, but like
Yeah.
you said, nothing with our cultura. Like things that you will have to watch a movie or like opera or all these things that I'm like, okay, nice, but nothing it will pull me to watch it or support.
Exactly. And that's why I think like representation matters so much because you cannot like build new audiences with the same stories. If
Yeah.
you want to
Yes.
build new audiences, you need to tell new stories.
I
I love
love
that.
that.
Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
And for those listening, especially young Latina creatives who feel unseen in artistic space, what advice would you give them?
I would say be yourself. Like that's the most powerful thing that we can do. Unapologetically, como dicen. But for me, it's like we don't have anything to apologize. Why unapologetically?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
true. You have a point. I never started from that perspective.
But
That is true.
by being our full selves, I think like society and the world tells us how to be in any like desde cómo nos debemos de ver, like too fat, too curvy, too thin, too, you know, like just be yourself, embrace yourself, step into your power and speak from your heart. I feel like everything that comes from the heart and it's honest, it will find its way. And by being ourselves, I think we are showing and allowing also the people who surround us to be that. And that's what we want, a real world, right? With
Yes.
real people, not like pretending. It's like, that's so boring.
Yeah, we're done with that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I feel like as Latinas in our community, we were conditioned to look a certain way, act a certain way. So I love that you said, just show up as yourself, because I feel like for so long we were conditioned, whether it's a corporate job or, you know, in an audition, to look a certain way. And it's like, no, just show up as you, because that's your uniqueness, right? And
Yes,
maybe
like
that's what
even
gives you the role.
like your fashion, like everything, like
Yeah.
because you know sometimes it's like, oh, don't wear red, don't wear like red lips, don't do this,
Yes.
don't wear the hoops, don't. And I'm like, we're done with that. And, like being different is what makes us special. Like in my case, for example, with the English and Spanish, I would be like so in my head when I would switch to Spanish, but now I do it like I'm like, fuck it, if they don't know the world, like pobrecitos, you know, like
Yeah.
that's on them.
Good for them.
because in
Feel bad
order,
for them.
yes, because in order to be my full self, I need to switch. Like, that's who I am. Like, that's who I am.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Especially the whole Hispanic accent. And I always go by this because I was born and raised in Miami and I have an accent. And I will get so upset when I was younger because my Spanish was my first language. But then my English was at school. And I remember that people would laugh and be like, oh, ve, regresen. I'm like, but why are they telling me this stuff? And it was because, according to them, I have an accent. Later to find out I have the Miami accent, but I owned it. Now I love it. I'm like, it's okay. Let them think whatever they want. Sofia Vergara made it to Hollywood. So we got this.
Yes.
Yes, and I always like to say, because I remember one time with the switching, right? Like you do the Spanglish. I was in corporate America, switched my Spanglish, and one of my boss was like, what did you say? Like, you don't say it like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I said it in Spanish. And then I thought to myself, no, sorry, I speak two languages. Like, excuse me for knowing two languages, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like, that's on you. Pobrecito que solo hablas uno.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Yes. And what is one taboo you are still trying to break?
It's a good question.
This is
Taboo
always a
I'm
tricky question.
trying to break. I feel like in terms of all my taboos, it's not something that I am done with it and I'm like, check. I think like every day I'm still working on all the taboos because of the society and because of what we are conditioned to do. Like, for example, the body image and like, or if you are smaller, you're more beautiful, like all those things that we were conditioned to think, or like don't talk about sex, or things like that. It's just like I feel like it's not something that you're like, okay, done, but every time you're about to do it, it's like, okay, it's a brave decision that I'm like stepping out of the zone of the taboo. So it's an everyday
That is true. We never fully own it. Yeah. That is true. That
yeah.
is so true.
But
I
I
feel
think
like that
it's
taboo is something
good.
we're working on as Latinas.
But every time we take the choices, we're like, okay, we did it. Yes, one.
On to the next taboo. Okay.
No, back to the first one. My gosh,
Exactly.
Florencia, we want to have a little fun with you before we hit the chisme. So,
Okay.
fill in the blank. Being a Latina on Broadway means
Okay, being a Latina on Broadway means you will be able to represent your culture on the biggest stage of the world.
Love it. Yes. What phrase, affirmation, or mantra you live by?
Todo fluye a mi favor.
Ooh,
beautiful. I haven't heard that one in a while.
that's a
I
good
love that
one.
one. And lastly, if Estela could speak to a younger Florencia, what would she say to her?
She would say, don't be scared of big challenges. You got this.
I love that. Okay, Florencia, es tiempo. La tía chismosa, the one who questioned everything, the one who probably told you, y eso de Broadway, ¿te va a pagar la renta? If she could see you now, yes. If she could see you now, Broadway star, mother, creative force, and a cultural
Oh my God, la
icon,
tía
what do you
chismosa.
think she would say?
I think she would say, and ¿cuánto te pagan? Uno, like, ¿cuánto te pagan? Latinas love to talk about money.
Yes.
And then she would say, probably would say, like, what's next? Which is so triggering. Every
Yes.
time someone is like, what's next? I'm like, I don't know. And also, también diría algo como que, yo creo que ya puedes bajar de peso. Now that you did Real Women Have Curves, you need to, like, lose a few pounds.
They always have something to say about it. Always.
The
Si
fat
no es el
shaming,
peso.
it's always.
Yeah.
Yes, you nailed it, because I could envision my tía Chismosa saying exactly the same.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. And of course, before we wrap up, tell our listeners where they can connect with you and support your journey, any projects or anything coming up that we should keep in mind.
Well, you can follow me at Flo Cuenca. I am always updating mi familia there of what I'm up to. I have plans of directing. I'm also a director, so I think like for the rest of the year, I'm gonna be directing a couple of new musicals that we are developing. I'm also writing a new musical, and we're gonna be developing that. And I'm so excited to do that because it's a musical that it's called, for now it's called Desaparecidas, and it's set in a palenque, in a Mexican palenque, that it's like a rodeo and with norteña music, and I'm gonna be doing that. And you can also listen to my album Broadway and Spanglish in every digital platform, and I will be doing a couple of concerts, so stay
Ooh, I
tuned.
love it.
That's beautiful. We're going to make sure to add everything on the show notes and support you however we can, also on social media and all your platforms. Florencia, thank you
Gracias.
for being a light for so many, for honoring your roots, sharing your gift, and reminding us that culture is not just worthy of the spotlight, but it belongs there. We said it before and we'll say it again. You are exactly the kind of voice we created Taboo Talk Latina Edition to uplift. So thank you for your yes, and thank you for being part of this journey with us today.
Gracias
Yes.
for having me.
Of course. And to our taboo breakers tuning in, thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for daring to dream, to heal, and to raise your voice louder than the silence. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Y como siempre, chicas, we'll see you next time on Taboo Talk Latina Edition, where we keep breaking cycles, breaking silence, and breaking taboos.